Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's study session. We'll be continuing our series on the 3 bets, 40 big blinds. Today, we'll be looking at the small blind, and we'll be playing against two different spots. We'll be playing against an under the gun opponent. So we're going to see a really tight range construction. And we're going to play against the button, and we're going to see a really loose range construction. And so in your games, you can kind of extrapolate if you know the player you're playing against and how they tend to play. It'll give you an idea of how to play your small blind when you're down to 40 big blinds. So without further ado, let's get into some trainer work. And once we do an example, we will take a look at some of the different heuristics for monotone, flush draw boards, paired boards, and stuff like that. So let's open that up and take a look at a few different things before we get too in depth. So this is going to be against under the gun. So we can see our range construction has a little bit of jamming. We want to jam ace king, so we need some bluffs to go with that. And we also balance it with some jacks and tens that occasionally want to just run their equity for about 40 big blinds. Because the pre-flop range is so tight, it makes it really challenging for us to attack the bottom of their offsuit range. So what we mostly do is we attack with blockers. So our 3 bets really want to come from kings and aces. We really are not a big fan of attacking with queens, as you can see, really with the exception of ace queen, which is almost a value hand here.
What's going on with Queen Jack, Peter?
Queen jack, it just wants to run its equity, and it is balancing this ace king here. Right? You can see that the response is very neutral with calling, with raising, or with jamming. And so this is one of those ones that it says, well, because it's so neutral, we're just going to help our range out with this very neutral hand, whereas this hand is very easy to play for all the chips, right? And is inclined to have that type of jam. We have some bluffs that come from the suited connectors beneath the queen, suited gappers, and a few fuming aces. So we're going to see a lot of this today. Yeah. Once we get into a spot here, we will pull up some range work. We will look at what these reports are going to give us as general ideas for playing this spot. So the first thing we can see that there's an overall strategy. Ace is a bet board we're going to bet a lot. King is a board we're going to bet a lot. Queens that are connected, we're going to start really picking up some polarizing bets. Jacks that are connected, Jack 10, Jack 9, Jack 8, right? Jack 10, 8, Jack 10, 9, Jack 10 by itself, really polarizing. 10, 9, really polarizing again. 9, 8. And so this is like we saw last week. The higher the level of connectivity of the flop, the more polarized our strategy is going to be around these spots. And then once it falls below the opponent's range with wheel boards, again, we are going to be very polar in this spot as well. When we break it down a little bit, monotone boards, we can see that, again, the idea of generally range betting these monotone boards is pretty good. The higher the combination of high cards, the more polar we want to be with that. right? So you can see there's a clear divide here. Ace 9-8 has some checking, lots of small betting, and a little bit of big betting. And all the stuff above that is primarily using a half pot or larger size, which is something that you don't see a lot on monotone boards. But here we do. The king board again, king is just such a strong card for us that there is virtually no checking. And again, king with another Broadway really drives up the size. Again, we can see a little bit of when there's connectedness. We can see it in the kings, we can see it in the queens, we can see it in the jacks. There is some polarization. And then when we have low cards, there is mostly just small betting on monotone boards. When we take a look at a flush draw board as opposed to a monotone board, we can see that a flush draw board with cards below what our opponent should have tends to have a really polar response. You can see the polar response becoming more and more pronounced as we move up the range to here, where we are having a lot of pots and jam bets with our connected tens, our connected jacks, our connected queens have it a lot. But interesting enough, with the queen, the half pot sizing drops out. It's small or big. And by big, it's very big. Again, as we move into the kings and aces, it just has to have a lot of betting. When you have two Broadway cards, there's a little bit of more sizing up, a little more half pot betting. And then again, with the aces, the same way. When there's two Broadway cards, there's a little more half potting. And a little bit less as we move into the ace low and ace mid range. We'll take a brief look at rainbow as well. As you can see, when there isn't a flush draw present, the straight draw becomes even more pronounced, but a less broad range of hands. It has to have more direct connectivity and more locked up equity with the straight to polarize us. So there has to be a flopped straight possible as opposed to just two cards of the suit, or two cards that are connected, which is what we saw a lot in the flush draw boards. And again, when there are two big cards, ace and king, we see a little bit more half potting. King and queen, a little more half potting at this part of the range here. Right, king and queen, king and jack, king and 10, a little more half potting. And last but not least, we will look at paired boards. And so we can see just a very general strategy. There is a fair bit of half pot betting all the way throughout, except for an ace. It kind of climaxes around the 10 and the jack. Again, connectivity comes in here on paired boards. But again, you're going to have kind of all the cards working because it's going to be a pair with a card that's connected to the pair. Right, is going to generate these type of polar response boards. So just to be aware, that's going to be a part of the strategy on paired boards. So again, these are all 3-bet pots. So ranges are going to be, already maybe a little more to the top end of what we're used to seeing. So let's dive right in and see what we can get ourselves in trouble with. 5-3-2 rainbow. King jack.
I'm gonna change the board to king 3 deuce.
This seems to be, this is one of those textures where you had polar sizings. I think this is not a hand to do it with, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I remember just seeing, this
Like-
looked like a big bet board.
Yeah, like I think we're blocking the folds, so like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, you also want to push equity here, so you really want to have we have enough aces that we don't really, and we also have enough like areas that need protection that this could just be one of your check give ups.
Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of ace X here, like if you, and he's gonna continue with all of his pairs, so like if you're betting, you're really targeting like Broadway cards
Yes.
that.
So is this one hand that's gonna slip into our check range?
I still, I don't know, it's conflicting factors, like.
I
It's not the
think
bottom,
if we-
it's not the bottom
we-
of the barrel is my problem.
Yeah, I think our kings probably want to check here, and I think we're gonna have some like queen X and jack X that are gonna be more likely to maybe start to bet.
yeah, I agree.
If you had pocket jacks, how big would you wanna bet here?
You wouldn't need to go too massive, cause they need a little protection, but not like a giant degree of protection, maybe like. I think half pot would probably be reasonable, or like maybe even a little bit less than half pot.
Half pot, I could be convinced you could go half. The one thing about 40 big blind spots, you didn't really touch on it, Peter, is I know some of these you can like, you actually overbet these in some spots. I don't know if
Oh,
you
yeah.
do it, you do like overbet shove in some spots. I don't know if
I
we
would
do a lot
jam
of that here.
jacks. I
But
would just rip it.
Jamming's not good, I don't think.
Well, let's take a look at the range once we decide. So
Although I
again,
wouldn't have
yeah.
done that before tonight.
everyone who said check, this is a great combo. to
Yep.
check.
Basically, when you're in the big blind, you are going, and the small blind, you're automatically range betting a lot of those high cards, but when it's low cards, you have to check more.
Alright, let's see
But
how
then
much.
in the big blind,
yeah.
it changes to the opposite.
Yeah,
Now I
half pot
learned.
is good.
Oh wait,
So
there
this-
actually is some jams with jacks and tens. That's pretty freaking
Mhm.
wild.
Yeah,
How
because-
This
many,
board
how much X
is,
pot is he jamming?
But just
One
one
and
and
a
a half.
Pot's 19. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Just say fuck them all in, because you don't want to get to the next, the next turn card and you're like, what the fuck do I do now?
yeah, you
Eights,
will see this a
nines,
lot on
tens,
boards.
jacks.
Yeah, you see this a lot on boards with vulnerable over pairs and top pairs that need protection. You see it a ton of like Jack 10 X boards. I just went through this with my private coach, so like I'm probably
Nice.
cheating a little bit, but yeah,
Well-
but you will see this quite a bit.
So keep your mouth closed tonight.
well.
I'm really
You
glad
don't
we don't
keep
have
your
to,
mouth closed.
that you
keep
paid,
playing.
that you paid for it, Jamie, and that we
Yeah.
get to reap the benefits.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that is going to be a trick we're going to see in some of these spots. You're going to see probably a lot more jamming than you would think.
Well, I mean, against this disrespectful size, can we do anything but call?
I mean, I don't know, dude. Alright,
What
so
is this?
what are you folding to this is the question I have for you.
So we're gonna start by folding some, like, remember, we're here with 9-8, right? We have worse to fold.
You got like vapors of 9-8.
10 jack, jack queen.
You
Mm,
just don't fold a lot, so you probably just get away with calling pretty much everything and being okay to this
Club
size.
combos.
Like you're probably only gonna fold like 10% of your range here, so you can probably just call everything in practice. You
Yeah,
can fold
see,
this.
you can fold your clubs.
I like raising more than I like calling. Like at least there's a path to victory there. Like I just don't see how we win the pot outside of a miracle.
Up,
if we
you
call.
flop a king or a jack, right? He's gonna have a bunch of. He's gonna.
Sometimes it might go check, who knows on the turn and you hit it.
Okay, so better question. What in his range is making that bet? That you're just gonna be with a king or a jack?
That
That's
is
what
a
I'm
good
curious
question.
about.
He probably bets.
So let's see how
Sevens?
prevalent this strategy is for him.
Sevens would be suicide to bet 10% pot when you have a vulnerable overpair.
But you
But I think
can't
they
go
do.
huge because we have some like good hands that we check probably.
You know what
So
does
he's
that?
doing it
Is pocket
with-
fives. Pocket fives does that?
Well, yeah, I was thinking sets for sure.
All the sets.
But you
And
can't
then a
Pocket
beat that with a
sliver of
king or a
everything
jack.
else.
How about pocket kings? How about pocket aces?
They're
And
gonna
then
do it at some
sevens are there.
frequency.
And
Aces
then
do it at some
okay,
frequency, yeah.
and then okay, like there's queen jack suited, we're blocking. There's the tens, okay, the tens, we have a real shot at beating. So like, that's where the call frequency is coming from, I think. But it's like, it's gonna be ace four, pocket fives, pocket aces, pocket kings.
He's got a lot of big hands here. So with this sizing, he's very polarized, right? This is his worst hands and his best hands.
Yeah, if he doesn't care about folds, man, yeah,
Okay.
it's like,
Yeah.
the nuts are nothing.
Yeah, and that's usually what you're gonna see. You're gonna see the best hands, his trash, and some draws that don't mind getting it in.
Well, it was pretty weak before. We didn't pick up any equity. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that?
No.
I guess he has to barrel everything that he bet before. He bets again, right? So,
Yeah,
oof,
yeah, especially since we're so passive.
What's he
Yeah.
got? Ace queen.
just ace queen.
He's gonna beat us with a naked ace high.
Yep.
3-bet this.
Mm. So there is going to be some calls and 3-bets here because they're mixed combos and some jams. So how often are you 3-betting ace queen off from the small blind against under the gun?
Theory, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say from practice, probably never. In theory, it's probably like 20, like third. I would think maybe third,
Ooh.
even half.
I was thinking like 60 or 70% 3-bet in theory, and in game,
Yeah, I was
I'm
more with
probably,
you.
I'm probably 3-betting this. I don't know, if it's like, if they've got like reggy loose stats, I'll 3-bet it usually, and if they're tight, I'll just call.
So
Yeah.
here's the consideration. Do we want to play this hand out of position to 2 players? Because when we just call, this big blind really gets to mess up our day with all kinds of suited garbage.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Yeah,
I would
Well,
make that
the-
like 80%.
The other
Yeah.
side of that coin is when you 3-bet it and get 4-bet by under the gun, do you wanna just torch your equity with ace queen offsuit?
Well, let's take a look at
We're
under
not
the
we
gun's
calling?
scared.
4-bet
Aren't we
spots.
calling off?
No, we fold.
Dude,
If-
Dude,
you-
calling off
under
is,
God,
Danny,
yeah.
quit punting.
I think we fold.
We're not calling off?
I
Oh,
have
no,
4-bet
not ace
jammed ace queen twice
not under the gun. You might do it to some later position opens.
versus the
I-
squeeze and it
I
both
kind of,
times didn't work out.
I agree with Jamie. I think versus late position, you can probably call, but under the gun, it feels like suicide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
be-
think that's
be-
true.
because
It's
they're- because they're
probably
worse.
folding versus under the gun.
Yeah,
for
because they're
sure.
gonna fold out stuff like ace jack off.
So
Mhm.
is
In
this
practice, I like
realistic?
never get jammed on in this spot, so I don't know. I don't have to make that decision.
Is this realistic for what the opponent's 4-bet jam from under the gun against us?
Yeah,
No,
Hmm.
they're always jamming ace king suited. They're probably not trapping kings enough, maybe not trapping aces enough. So the range is gonna be even stronger than what it is here.
But you're gonna have loose regs that are gonna like YOLO
I don't-
tens there. They're gonna
I don't
YOLO
disagree
ace
with
queen
Danny.
suited. They're gonna
Yep.
YOLO ace queen suited sometimes, so,
I would say it's within a standard deviation of like the correct answer, like,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
it's good.
Yeah,
Now
I can
that I
see
see
them.
this range, I would fold.
Well, there you go.
Alright,
So this is a 3-bet bluff, but this is the best 3-bet bluff we have.
Alright, so
Alright.
we have one of these super connected middling contested flops, like, this is going to breed polarity with this hand also. I
Um,
think.
Yeah, I think this is a stuff. Again, vulnerable top pair on a connected board. I think this is just a jam. I don't think you
I
do
don't know,
anything
do we
else
have
here.
as many
Turkey.
jams on this kind of texture compared to the other textures?
I think you have a ton on Jack 10x and Queen 10x. You're gonna have like a ton.
Well, the one caveat to that is I think completed equity actually drives down the jamming frequency a little bit, maybe not
Yeah, I
like when you're
guess so
at
you'd
a
say that you
position.
jam more when there's a flush draw
Yeah,
and
well, like
less when
if
there's
it was
already
like,
Jack 9 completing.
yeah, if it was like Queen 10, like Queen 10 6, I feel like you would just go like completely off your
Yeah,
rocker
maybe we
crazy.
can test that theory.
Okay, so maybe some half pot, maybe some full pot, maybe a little bit of jam.
I'm kind of, so like, I'm feeling like two street geometric, whatever that equals to. That's
Could be
like
half pot.
9-ish.
Oh. Yeah, so, okay,
I could get behind either.
Nah, it's just going jams, just going nuts. Yeah, it's
So
it
whatever.
is
what's
the
the
purple
sense in,
monster.
what's
Yeah.
the sense in betting full pot and setting up a 1/6 SPR for the turn? Like, why
Yeah.
not just put it all in?
Cause
I need-
you're balancing the other part of the range that's doing it with other things.
Yeah, Peter's right. You can't just, I hear what
Okay.
you're saying, but
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
take your entire range and say, I'm all in.
Yeah,
Watch me.
But you do, you jam a ton here and,
Yeah, you actually go pretty bananas here. This is way crazier than I was kind of expecting it, just because they do have jack
It-
nine suited,
They
don't
have
they?
jack nine suited, I guess, maybe, but
It doesn't
probably
no, they
not.
might fold. I think they fold that because that's like the bottom of their range.
No, they
Like
would have jack nines.
I was freaking studying this. I've been
They might have
working on
median all.
pre-flop, but pre-flops is hard.
Well,
Like
the
I-
amazing part is we have a
they
button to
fold the
click.
jack nine suited because that's
Okay.
the bottom
Jack
of
nines.
their opening suited range.
Alright, so a fun experiment would be, since they don't have the straight here, like if you made it like low jack or like the earliest position where they do have the straight. I bet the frequency would be way more behaved.
well, we'll take a look
I
at
love
that
how you
in
said
part
Just
two
one
behaved.
hand.
where
I'm
they
not so
will
sure,
have
'cause this-
all kinds of stuff.
This is one of those boards similar to like Jack 10x, these Queen 10x. There's just a large amount of jamming, and whenever you're 40 big blinds, you need 3-bet.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah, for
Jack,
sure.
Jack 10, Queen 10, Jack 9, X,
I
two
found a
tone.
leak. I fucking suck at poker.
Yeah,
Oh.
because your opponent's gonna have to call off with every worst queen. They're supposed to call off with jack 10 suited. They're supposed to call off with 10-9 suited. They're supposed to call off with pocket nines. They call off with all this stuff that like,
You know, a lot of our jams have a ton of equity, like ace
Yeah.
king.
yeah,
This is going to be like a 70% 3-bet.
You better call.
Less. 30%.
Danny's
Call.
going a little less.
I'm calling 30 and 3-betting like 70, I think is what it's doing in game.
What are you doing with ace jack?
Okay, well, ace jack's gonna be more like 70, 30. This is 50-50.
So 73 betting, 30 calling?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm calling ace jack more than this hand.
Ace jack might be the weird, like, pure call-ish type island.
I just think versus like under the gun, I kinda just.
yeah,
slot
you
those into
usually don't
bluffs.
have any pure offsuit ace X calls. You'll have some suited ace, most of your suited stuff's gonna call.
How
I'm
about
looking-
this spicy enchilada? How often are you three betting this one?
Not very frequently.
Alright, 15, 20%.
I like Nick's answer.
Yeah. In there.
Same.
28%, quarter of the time.
Not enough is, I'm always calling, basically.
Okay. Two high cards, a flush draw.
Alright,
connection?
so the king is very contested. The 10's a little better for us. There's gonna be a lot of incomplete equity here. I
Half
think
pot.
I'm a half pot guy.
What about if you don't have the king of spades?
If I think the king of spades actually might make me behave a little bit more.
Yeah, I think with the king of spades, we actually bet smaller, not bigger.
I
Remember,
still think it's about half pot though. What's up?
king
Pete?
high boards are boards that we're not really gonna have any checks on. And because we're betting with our whole range,
Mhm.
it's gonna drive into more of these pieces. But with two broadways, we do get to push the size up button a little more. So I think we are gonna,
I'm a half pot guy as well.
I would go half with or without the spade.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, can we see if the spade's relevant? I know deep
Sure.
stack is gonna be relevant, but I don't know if it's gonna change it at 40. Like
I,
deep stack, you're gonna be
uh,
sizing up with the spade.
You saw how the range was splitting almost 50-50. I think it's just gonna it's gonna prioritize the half pot more than the smaller size,
With the spade?
without the
Without.
spade. So
Different-
actually, it's quite a bit backwards. It's prioritizing like that small size. No, that's right. So your gray is half pot. So
Yep.
without the spade, because they have more spades to continue with, I guess, more spade combos to continue with.
Well, the queen of spades is betting half pot like always.
Yeah,
Yeah, without the queen, without the spade. Again, you want to push equity with vulnerable hands, and when we don't have a spade in our hand is more vulnerable to being outdrawn, so that drives up the size.
When we have the queen, they can have king jack spades, I guess. That we
Yeah,
really
it's-
wanna bet big.
It's really the queen of
Mhm.
hearts that drives down our sizing here. Right? Like we have sizing increases when we don't have a heart or a spade. And we have sizing increases when we have a spade. But when we have the queen of hearts,
I think you're right.
blocking their backdoor continues. Right? It kind of drives down that sizing.
I think it's more that he doesn't have king, queen offsuit in range and the king of hearts is on the board. So when we have the queen of hearts, it's like irrelevant. Because he already can't have king, queen of hearts.
We bet and get called. So is there a? We were mixing before with small and half pot bets. This
we're just-
really doesn't change very much.
And we're always jamming here.
Yeah, I don't think there's a sizing
Yeah.
that makes any sense other than that.
Yeah.
Because once you go half and you create that SPR, I guess there's maybe some universe in which you could go really small, but no.
This is easy to play. Ooh, how often are you three betting snowman?
Probably
I don't know.
10%.
4%.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's at all. I think it might just be pure call.
I think I know sevens are a pure call. I think eights do still raise a
Whoa.
little bit.
Yep, against under the gun, 25%.
I think I'm
Yeah.
too respectful towards under the gun.
Now, are we calling this off or are we folding?
I think our
Folding.
worst call here would be
Like,
eights. I
Jack
mean,
or
eights may
queens.
call actually. I know nines would call for sure.
do you
just
remember
not
what
nines
he jams with? He jams with like queens plus. Or jacks plus, queens plus, and ace king and ace
Ace-
5 suited. Like his jam range was so tight.
Under the guns jam range.
I don't think nines is calling. Wow. Right.
Yeah, nines is
Alright,
calling.
now I'm,
Eights is
now I'm
You're-
confused.
It just likes pairs 40 big blinds deep. The solver likes the pairs, but you notice that as you go up, there's a huge EV difference between like eights and tens. Because
Yeah,
His
it-
jam
it-
range
it-
is what I
it-
thought, no?
pairs.
You're right. It's because his range has, it doesn't have that many combos when he shoves. He has queens, jacks, a little bit of kings, and ace king and ace 5 suited, right? So it's like, so pretty much any pair here is kind of just maybe
What if you
like,
took out ace 5 suited?
well, if you took an ace 5 suited, it's 3.5 more combos, probably just, it probably would flip it to the point where you're probably not calling like the
In a
bottom pairs
in a-
anymore.
non-GTO world, I think people are jamming kings more often and ace king suited and aces more often.
No, I mean,
Yep.
we're
Yeah,
just
we
talking about
discussed that
fit solver
before you
here.
arrived.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just,
I
I know,
agree
I'm
with
just
in a
you.
saying.
non-GTO world, you three bet from the small blind and they just insta fold jacks.
I'm wondering which,
You
Like,
three
I'm-
bet jacks. You three bet aces from the small blind.
Yeah.
And they fold jacks from under the gun.
Yeah, that would be a spot you just kind of like pull up like equal app or something and give them a reasonable,
yeah.
your range and
I
just
mean, we
figure
are
out what
getting
your
good
call
odds
off
because
there
we
is.
put in 8, but, I feel like if they don't have ace 5 suited, that's the hand we have most equity
How
against.
about
It's
you just
gonna
believe
shift
that
things
you're
so
gonna
much.
win the flip or hit your 8? Why don't you just do that?
You mean win the 20%er?
Remember, the majority of pocket eights are still just flatting and set mining. And probably
Yeah.
same here with nines, right? But the
Yeah.
goal today is to play the 3-bet pot side.
So is this
Yeah.
the weird one that, alright, never
No,
mind. I
nines
was
three bet
wondering if
more
it would
often
three
than
bet
eight.
even less than eights.
Nope.
Sometimes there's a weird pair in there that the frequency goes down.
Yeah, it's usually eights are the weird pair. Eights
Okay.
sometimes do weird stuff where they'll either be really polar one way or the other.
Well, I've lost my entire stack already. Damn.
Bet two, bet two and pray.
3 broadways with a flush draw.
Nah, I don't know
Why?
what I do here.
You bet your
Betting
whole
if they're
range.
flat.
You bet your whole
Yeah, this
range,
is-
so you bet like 10%.
You might even size up with his hand some,
Weren't we
but
supposed to jam queen jack pre-flop in Solverland?
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have the nuts, right?
yeah, but we have pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket tens, ace king.
For sure.
Yeah, I think our
Half
whole range
pot.
bets. I think your whole range just bets like either quarter or
Either
So-
2 or
10%.
5, right?
As we wind up with a 3 Broadway board, we're going to wind up with a little bit more of a polar response, but we are going to be range betting when these 2 cards show up. I don't think we're going to be checking very much here.
We
Yeah.
bet small.
Just
Yeah,
bet
this
two
is
and
just
pray.
a range bet board, right? Like it's just too good. So it's going to drag everything along to the party.
Thank God. Oh.
We get to preserve some of
Oh.
our stack at least.
I breathe a sigh of relief. So what happens if he just calls
So let's take a look at that.
and then say there's a brick on the turn?
Ace queen raising.
Yeah, it's an ace with a gutter. It's just ready to get
It's
it
an
all
ace
in.
with a gutter with an SPR of 2. We're just
I think this
folding
is where I
proper.
just die in a tournament.
And you
know,
want the
in these
deuce of
spots they
clubs
just
here,
have
Nick?
there's just a lot of
Uh,
incentive.
Just any brick, 3 of diamonds, doesn't matter. Something that changes nothing.
And our pocket nines largely shut down unless you have the spade.
Where are our bluffs coming from? We don't
Spade and
have any.
heart. Exactly, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're just so loaded with value hands.
Queen 10,
That's a
jack
yeah,
10.
Yeah, I guess it's turning some tens into a bluff. Right, all the tens are betting
like
here.
Yeah, you're
Maybe jacks are
blocking
betting
King
some.
10.
or you're blocking all
block
the
2
2 pairs
pair.
in the straights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
jacks and queens bet
You're trying
probably
to get a king to
effectively as
fold.
bluffs.
oh, queens and jacks were betting too.
Some percentage of the time, just effectively as bluffs to try to get kings to fold, king X to fold.
All right, queen jack. How often are you 3-betting this?
Alright, someone who didn't see the earlier thing. Nick,
Jam.
what was it, like jam 60%? Call the rest?
Nice. Yep, peanut butter and jam. Uh-oh.
It's all good. He's got ace king. Ooh. He's got quads.
He's got quads.
Ooh,
Okay. King.
8.6. If there ever
100%
was.
of the time.
If I'd
Yeah.
ever seen an 8.6 in my entire life, this is it.
And always the ace on the flop.
Yeah,
Always.
but you just bet small. Just bet
Bet
small
two.
or you check, I think. I
You
don't know.
can check, you can bet 2, or you can bet 4. They're all fine.
I don't think you'd check here much. I think you just bet either 2 or 4.
Yeah.
Probably each at equal increments. Probably doesn't
Yeah,
matter that much.
I think it's a low frequency check, but I think it will check some.
Okay, so question. How many aces in range are checking here?
Probably very few, just because we have vulnerable aces that want to bet.
You have vulnerable aces that wanna check, I think.
I don't think we're
Because-
doing a lot of checking.
What's
I
an
think
ace
it's-
vulnerable to?
Mostly a range bet, a better ace.
Okay, so if you've got like
Flush draws.
ace 7 here. You've got ace 7 of clubs.
Mhm.
Like, are you just gonna triple that off into under the gun range? Who's
No,
got
the
nothing
turn.
but,
The turn is
Um,
where it starts having checks, and you'll check some like ace queen, ace king too to balance it.
But again, we have an SPR of like 1.5. Like usually when you have an SPR of 1.5, you're just fine stacking with top pair.
Yeah, so 3-bet pot and an ace on board. I just don't think we're gonna see much more than 5 to 10% of checking with the entire range.
Yeah,
And I think
maybe.
it's gonna be very heavy on these two sizes. So 20%,
So this has got
take a
20
peek.
and let's see what else we got. I'm
On
I'm
point for Nick.
skeptical. I think
Yeah,
there's
I
a
am
little
curious how
more.
we play some of those. I kind of agree with Nick, bet 2 and check the turn, but they are checking
Alright,
some
so
here, it looks
check
like.
out,
10%.
check out ace 5, check out ace 7,
Yeah.
ace 6 is 2 pair.
Sure. But
Um,
really, pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, and these aces are the ones that wanna check.
Right. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I'm definitely not advocating for like a like range check with your aces or something, but there's definitely aces in this range that wanna play defensively for sure.
Yeah, so 85% range betting here is pretty strong heuristic on this small board. It's just something
Mhm.
you're gonna see on any 3-bet pot with an ace board.
Yeah, a little bit
Can you look at the
surprised.
reports? I think it's like specifically ace low low. Um,
Yeah, no, I agree, Nick. I think it's like ace low, low, maybe some ace mid, low.
It's
Stuff like-
ace 9 and lower. It's gonna have this type of range construction. When it's
Mhm.
two broadways, it's gonna have a lot more half pot.
Yeah, I agree.
Take a look at the reports here. So yeah, you can see that kind of when we're in
Yeah.
the ace with another Broadway, we use a lot of the half pot sizing. And then as we get out of the Broadways, where we come down here into ace 9 and lower, it's all the red and orange color. Right, so you can just see it's a lot of small betting and occasional checks on largely monotone boards.
yeah, monotone boards are gonna be not high frequency checks, but they're not so good for the 3-better. When all the money goes in.
But we give the disrespectful size.
I think you go small again, super small. Like 5 or
I would
5 or
check now.
deuce.
You can go 2. I mean, I think this is probably very, yeah.
We just keep our opponent in there really wide with all the spades, all the under pairs.
I thought you might even go a little bigger because you do have a lot of pairs between the 6 and the ace that can call you.
Yeah.
Do you triple
not like-
small?
No, we
What
need
you
a spade.
How is this not just like turning our hand face up at this point? I don't get this.
This is what
Good.
Louis Philippe once called the triple jarl.
The
Right, he
triple
would
what?
bet one, bet one.
Because you're gonna have ace X that does this. Like
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing here. Is that you
But-
always have you're gonna have ace X that will always take this line.
Now
You
tell me,
should.
Danny, how else would you get that much value from pocket fives there?
Hmm. I'm surprised 5's called down. I wouldn't, I guess I wouldn't. I would probably check turn and then, block
Especially
river.
was that do fives just call pure?
Yeah, it was pure, I think. To be fair, I'm not really doing a lot of this either. Like, I do a lot of like. I got like some small smalls. Or some like. Small checks.
Look, he's
But the-
jamming with all this, 5's and
Yeah,
4's.
but so why did he call fives there? Is there just like a sliver of fives that just call? Like a
Well,
really
he
tiny.
he mostly
He
jams
folded,
river
didn't
with
he?
fives. I love it. Oh, it's so great. He decided to fold.
I think he folded.
Yeah,
Oh, did he
I
fold?
guess you can
Oh, did
see
he
we
fold?
still
I
get
thought he called.
called by 7s, 8s, 9s, jacks. ace, jack, ace, queen, right? Like all these aces, they don't raise, they only put in the minimum against us here. So
Yeah,
we kind of just get to realize our equity against these pairs, balanced by how many times we lose to these aces.
what is this goofy ace king suited raise not all in? It's like the only hand doing it.
Yeah,
Alright,
that's a strange one. All right,
Party time.
should we play
For-
this as a call since it's more interesting?
if we were doing
No,
like
'cause we're gonna
calls, but
win.
we're just gonna do 3 bets today.
Alright,
All right,
Not
ace
all
king
in.
suited. 100%. Good job.
Have you studied before, Galen? How'd you know that?
I mean, come on, it's ace king suited.
9, 5, 2, two-tone.
So small boards. I'm
red or
torn
gray?
between. Yeah, I'm torn between red or gray. I kinda wanna just go red, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm probably checking. What's our check frequency on this board, do you think?
9 high,
Like 30-40%.
20%?
I agree. I think it's around 40.
So your low, yeah, your low
yeah.
nine high and lower boards, you check somewhere between like 30-40%.
Okay.
Generally.
Thought
I don't
globally
hate
in this
betting,
configuration, there was
But I think
hardly
it's,
any.
yeah, high frequency check.
Just because again, it's
Very
just too good.
Yeah, like what are we afraid he's gonna bet? Bring it on.
Like, you wanna
Well-
have hands like this in your range for protection.
Yeah, that's fair. I was thinking of it more of as a value bet, but
Yeah, it could be
You
Yeah.
also
too.
block the both flush draws, like.
I
you
like
can't
the check.
cooler a king high flush.
Can we look at our flop range, Peter?
No, it's gonna
So I
tell us
think
the
it's a
turn
board
answer,
where a
Nick.
lot of people will get
You're
there
jumping the gun.
with their whole range and they'll be like, I'm just gonna see bet range. I think it's kind of a mistake.
So checking 35% and checking pretty much a sliver of every combo in range.
No, it's just,
Like
this is
king-
the turn.
Oh, sorry. Checking
Similar.
35% with pretty much a sliver of everything in range. Yeah, tens and jacks and queens don't really want to do that, but everything else wants to come to the party with a pretty heavy check frequency.
Ace is checking a lot because they're not scared of anything.
Mhm.
Ace, king, ace, queen. Are we checking more with the spades?
Yeah, we're checking
Yeah.
less when we don't have the spade. So
So who's got more 9x? Him or us?
take a look.
Uh,
I think it's a wash. There might be,
Pretty
but
close.
he's gonna have, yeah, he's gonna have more. No, I was gonna say he
So
has ace, yeah, it's close.
we've got the better over pairs and like the better flush draws. More frequently, it looks like. Or do we
Yeah.
have the better flush draws more frequently?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
there we-
actually, we actually do not have, I don't believe.
This is
We have
the
a
part of the
specific-
range where
Yeah,
we
we
have
don't
the
have a,
advantage,
yeah,
right? And it's where we have tens, jacks, queens, and kings at a higher frequency than he has tens and jacks,
yeah.
Right.
right?
So we just have more nutty hands, but he's gonna have like a lot of suited 3 flush, 4 straight, 3 flush, 3 straight type holdings.
on the offsuit branch, are we betting our like ace, king with a spade, ace, queen with a spade?
I would think they're gonna be more
That's
likely to bet.
How I would play it.
Yeah, ace of spades wants to bet a lot when it doesn't have a heart.
Okay,
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Particularly sizing up as well.
Cause then we can get called by worse. The backdoor hard stuff or,
You want
Yeah,
to
you're-
unblock his continues with hearts.
Yep.
yeah.
But we played the check line and we get here and we get this ace.
I think you go pretty polar now. Like maybe whatever you need to bet to get two street geometric. So like 9, 9, 6.
Yeah.
if,
Well, I
I
mean,
think you
even
could do any of the options with this
You
hand. I
can
think you can
check again,
check bets. yeah, you can check, you can bet small, or you can go polar.
I would say checking doesn't sound crazy, but I don't think it's gonna go small. I think it's gonna go big or check. It's gonna go polar.
Check or
Even if-
gray.
If we put in 5 chips, the pot will be 30 chips and we'll only have 20 behind. Right? Like it's already really close.
Yeah, I just like, okay, so the hands he's gonna continue with here are what? Spades, which you're gonna wanna tax on the turn. And then they're gonna be like ace X holdings that we're just gonna cooler. So like, I think you want more of a geometric size to make those indifferent calling the river, right? If you go too small on the turn and you just like blast him on the river, you might lose like ace 7 or
What
ace
about
6.
when you have like ace 6 here of diamonds?
Well, yeah, ace 6 of diamonds, I'm gonna play it way more protective. I'm probably just gonna play check again.
Well, I think we're gonna wanna have a small bet range because we have a lot of weaker stuff we still wanna go for some sort of value with.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think your weaker aces want to bet small, but I think ace king specifically, because you can cooler so much stuff,
Ace queen
probably
even.
wants to go bigger. Like you can't really go big with ace 10 here, because if you go big with ace 10 and get piled,
You're just gonna value on yourself a lot.
yeah, pretty much.
I think this is gonna
agree.
do all three fairly often.
I was wondering
Right.
if we ever see the blue in there too.
Right, so like 9-6 is a really good answer. 14 is kinda good. The 1.9 is kind of interesting, and it's probably some of what you're talking about, Nick, like. I think the fact that there's 1.9 here means that the weaker aces probably slot pretty heavily into that range. So it's just picking some ace king once in a blue moon to throw in there.
You just protect it.
Yeah, I figured
If you don't-
aces might be a little more likely to protect it than ace king, but.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, like you said, there's a lot of checking with those weak ones, but when they do bet, the small size is elevated. Aces is the primary candidate and ace kings are polarizing along with. Ace queen kinda seems to be the break point there.
Yeah, like
Go for it with ace
specifically,
king.
like with spades, I think we're gonna be like sizing down mostly, right? And the other ones are gonna go polar.
I think spade, I don't know.
Yeah,
No, spade, you want the spade, it looks like.
Yeah. No, with spade, he means.
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, ace king of spades, like specifically.
It's mostly the half pot size when it.
Yeah,
bets.
yeah, you're right, you're right.
And it
Yeah.
also has lots of checks.
And yeah,
others
the only
are,
one that checks
jamming
because
some.
it's so
Or
nutted
potting.
on this board.
And that is a clean enough river to just jam.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah,
Oof,
ace jack.
got him.
Nice. Alright.
Pretty high frequency 3-bet, I think.
Okay.
What, 60%?
30%?
60? I would say 60, 50.
60. What?
Maybe
Well,
it's
ace
crazy.
10 was half and half, right?
Yep,
Okay.
half and half with ace jack as well.
Okay, about the same.
Queen 9-4 rainbow.
Okay, so
Check.
I would be very tempted to bet here. You're blocking
I think
2 of the
this is
back
a-
doors.
I think it's a
Three to
high
a straight.
frequency check.
I think this
Think?
is, no, I think this is, actually, I would disagree. I think this is probably gonna bet a lot, and it's gonna bet a lot.
You get better
Or-
hands to fold when you bet.
But we get worse hands to, we get worse
No.
hands to call, actually.
What worse hands call you?
Jack
Um,
10, king 10.
Well,
Yeah,
you
all
might
your-
get
all-
better
the
hands to
king X-
fold.
King,
like some-
yeah, if you bet quarter, all of his king X and jack tens and
Do you
stuff
think
like
this is
that.
gonna be doing a quarter pot?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think this
I
is a
would-
quarter pot, and I'm pretty sure this might even be a range quarter. This might be a range bet.
I don't think so. So the way I look at this is I could be wrong about all this, but I think queen high boards are the broadways that we check most often.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be checking like 30% of the time. And this hand is like one of the best checks in my mind because we're kind of high up in the range. When we bet, I don't like, yeah, we get called by like jack 10, jack king with some, straight draw, flush draw, overcard, but we kind of also block that. So I slot this
Yeah.
into my check range
Yeah,
most of the time.
I will say that if we have checks here, this would probably, your jack X and anything with a jack or a 10 in it would be the hands I would check. But I don't think we would, I just don't think we would check this much.
Okay,
There's-
let's take a look.
There's
I
good
like
merit to
red
what you
as
said,
the
Nick.
second best. And check
I
was
would
the
be-
primary.
So mostly
What's-
betting. Let's take a look at the whole kit and caboodle here.
I
Because
kinda
I
like what you're
also had
saying,
that
Nick.
idea.
I like what
Like
you're
keeping-
saying, Nick. I think I wanna do it with ace king though.
I'd rather bet
I
ace
prefer
king.
to
I don't
bet
know.
ace king than this.
So it's
Yeah,
only
they're
checking
about
with
the
Just a range
same.
bet. Damn,
they're-
okay, I'm wrong.
And it's the connectedness of the queen and the 9. Even though the queen isn't the best card for us, the cards that are going to be in there are the jack and the 10, which are the best cards for us. And those are going to be very heavily in our construction.
So will you check the frequencies for the hands containing a club and the ones blocking the back door? See which one it prefers?
So, okay. So the clubs.
Relative to the other ones, of course, like
It didn't
I,
change.
Okay.
It looks the same.
yeah, he was just isolating the clubs. I just kinda wanna see if
Yeah.
if you're betting bigger, more frequently, holding a club or not. So
Doesn't look like the
like,
club's super relevant.
you seem to check a smidge more, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
kinda-
which makes sense because you're not pushing equity when you have,
When you're unblocking the continues, cuz on a rainbow board of this texture where there's gonna be a lot of straight draws. The back doors are gonna be continuing, so like having 2 backdoor blockers. I think is relevant.
Can we look at the reports again? Because I thought queen high, low boards, we check more frequently than this. So I'll figure out where I'm screwing up. I thought it was like 9 high boards and queen high boards. And then below 9 high are, we check like 20 to 30% most of the time.
I bet if you drop this to an 8, it's really going to change things. But we'll look at the reports here quickly.
it's like
Thank you.
queen, low, I think is the ones that check more. But once the queen starts to connect with,
Yeah, I just want to see how low it needs to get.
So
Queen
Queen-
9-7, queen 9-6. Queen 8, significantly more.
yeah, like we still see pretty much range betting here, but a lot more checks as we get into the queen 8.
Yeah, I
They
think
like
when they're continuing your range, just like has a large component of it being like high equity draws. It's gonna drive up like your betting frequency to deny that as opposed to
And
like
then like
giving them free lunch on the flop, you know?
Yeah,
queen
like all
7,
of
it's like
the
half the time. Okay.
yeah, like all of the stuff that wants to check this green bar is all the queen 8. But like as I said, the 9 is still just connected enough with the jack and the 10 that it connects well enough with our range of hands that miss this board.
Right, and I think like his strongest, also like his strongest 9x continues from under the gun typically. So like he's gonna have some strong second pair to continue with, whereas like. If it's an 8. I think it's a pretty naked range at that point. Like you don't have to, there's not much to get value from that you're beating. And there's a lot
I
of
think he
draw.
only has 9-10 suited. As far as nines
Eight?
go.
What about ace 9? What about king 9?
I think they're folds.
Yeah, I don't think he has ace 9.
Ace 9 might be in there. Ace 9 suited might be in there, but I
I
think
have
king
no-
9 folds.
I have no idea. I haven't looked at the range. I'm guessing.
So we get this straight completing backdoor flushing card. We block the straight, have a gut shot. Block some continues with the ace of hearts. Makes me want to bet small here again.
yeah, I think that's good. 'Cause we wanna- we would
Okay,
wanna-
actually,
We would want to bet this the same way we would be betting like our
how would you bet
completed-
jack 10? How would you bet jack 10?
small. So I don't need to bet big here.
Yeah, jack 10 with a heart, maybe even 2.
7.
I'm going geometric. I think like you gotta be able to get all the money in. And like, if a heart comes, you need to be able to bluff the flush. If a 10 comes, you need to be able to bluff, you need to be able to value your straight.
What are you doing with ace jack without the ace of hearts?
I would be more behaved.
You're
Yeah.
checking more often.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think it
would
What are you
becomes a
doing
pure
with,
check.
king ten? What are you doing with, ace ten?
King 10, I'm gonna be betting more frequently than ace 10, just because he's gonna have some ace X that we can
Yeah.
kind of target.
Yeah, we don't have king
Um,
10 off here, though. Just remember that. King 10
Yeah,
off
We
is
don't?
no, we
But
don't.
King 10
No,
Oh, wait,
suited
king ten
makes
sorry.
the
suited.
super nuts,
Yeah.
right? Because it's the gutter to the over straight.
I don't know. I'm betting this geometric like I have the stone cold nuts here in game.
I think
Yeah,
checking
seven.
or betting are both fine, but I think we're gonna be checking this more than like the ace ten and king ten stuff, so then.
I'm a little lost cuz I checked flop.
And by the way, I checked the flops. We have full frequency king 9. We have 10-9. We have slivers of ace 9
Under the gun
the-
or us?
under the gun.
Okay.
So
Yeah, ace nine just can't make a straight, king nine can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Specifically, alright, so the ones that are going kind of bananas here are the ones with the ace, or I'm sorry, not with the ace, but with the heart, right? Is that what
Yeah.
we were seeing? Okay.
Yeah. the heart's driving it. Ooh, the
Alright,
brickiest of the
like,
brick.
you just gotta go
White
bananas
flag.
here. Nah, man, dude, you're
No.
blocking the straight, dude. You're blocking the straight.
Is the
Oh, we have
jig
the
up?
ace of hearts. It's a terrible card, bro.
I'm all in.
There's no way. I check.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna have
With
to
the
raise
ace
our-
of
we'll have-
hearts, with the ace of hearts, you cannot shove.
We'll have
You-
ace jack without the ace of hearts. We'll have king ten. We'll have just
You-
better bluffs.
The ace of hearts is the key card because you now have negative removal to the hands you're
I
trying
do,
to get to fold.
I do agree the ace of hearts is not, ideal here, but I still
The ace
think we
hearts like
just.
one of the worst cards.
So our opponent called 2 barrels in a 3-bet pot. Like, and there's half of the stacked pot ratio is half here, right? Like we're never folding he's never folding a queen when we jam.
Yeah. So yeah, we're targeting a nine. To
Well, he's
fold,
got,
like
there's
king
a lot of,
nine.
there's a lot of incompleted equity also, like he is gonna have hearts. He is gonna have king 10 here, he is gonna have jack king here.
We're
there-
ahead
there-
of all of the uncompleted equity.
Yeah, we're ahead of the hearts though.
You have equity realization issues, though. If you check, how often is he just gonna pile those in your face and you have to fold?
So you're jamming to let your opponent fold all the hands that you beat and call when you're crushed.
The theory is that like it's the only way you can any equity you think you can realize, you can only realize it by shoving.
It's
Because
kinda like
otherwise your
first,
opponent's
right, it's kinda like first to shoot wins kind of thing. Like. It just doesn't go to showdown very often. I don't know.
I would check here with this ace jack, but I'm sure there's going to be some more shoves when you don't have the ace of hearts.
Identical EV. Very interesting.
Yeah, very, very similar EV. I would have thought the ace of hearts would have driven that down significantly, but
Well, you
So
you
when
can
we
check,
check, what's
you
he
can check.
do? I'm interested to see like
Oh, you're gonna get
Punish
ass
responses to our check.
blasted. You're just gonna get ass blasted, I think.
just another Friday night.
All right.
okay.
Pour some liquor down the old tube
So-
and prepare.
We are mostly going all in here with our range, 25% giving up. And it is giving up with the best ace and
Ace king,
4
sure.
ace. Yeah.
Sure, ace king makes a lot of sense. What about, okay, ace jack? Let's look at the ace jack real quick.
Ace
Okay,
jack
it's
without a heart, I'm
trapping-
definitely going for
It's
it.
trapping with sets of 9s and 8s here to balance it.
Oh, I love it.
Savage.
Yeah, but the ace
Okay.
jack does have some checking frequency. I'm kinda curious about.
So when we check, what's his strategy? He's going in 2/3, checking 1/3. He is checking back ace high. And he is checking back a 9. And worse pairs.
Hi,
So
Vincent.
he's checking back some worse ace highs.
Hello.
Yeah, he's checking back all the ace highs that are worse except for ace 10 and ace jack. So he will bluff us out with ace 10. But checks back a lot of other aces.
Those are hearts, only hearts, right? Ace five, ace four, ace three.
Yeah,
But like, to your point, like, we do
Oh,
beat
wait,
a
the
lot of
four has those.
aces. We do beat a lot of these aces, and that's the only reason that I think there is a checking frequency with that ace jack.
We beat two combos and we block them both.
yeah, he has a bit of an
Ace
jack
five and
thing.
ace three of hearts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If we shove, does he fold any pairs worse than a 9?
so when we shove,
Ace four is indifferent, ace eight's indifferent, pocket sevens is indifferent. Nine,
Mhm.
tens out of there.
If my opponent calls me with ace eight, I'm logging off.
he does fold a little bit of stuff. He folds ace king. So
Yeah,
he
it's just my
folds
prob-
more when we shove. For
Are
sure.
we jamming like without the heart more often?
That's what I was asking earlier. I think you are
Early.
for sure, Nick. I think
I would assume
absolutely.
so,
Absolutely, I think.
but
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
kinda like to the point you guys were saying, like, having a heart is not ideal.
Having the ace of hearts is worse than the jack of hearts.
you're blocking so much just weak stuff.
Yeah, we're kind of blocking all the hands that we beat.
The,
Yeah.
the
Yes, sir.
challenge is like, he knows that you know that I know that he knows the second you check, the jig is up. It's like checking the river, you just lose.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, But it's
what's the
also when you
expression?
have the ace of hearts, you block all of his
Uh,
continues. His
we
his,
jam
his
this,
call hands.
Sometimes checking and losing is still the best option.
Yes.
It wasn't that time now,
Yes.
was it, Danny?
9-2-tone.
Well, it was still the majority.
It
Well,
was not the majority. Are you having a
It was
cognitive
60%
dissonance?
check. It was 60% check.
I think we need a fact check on that.
No, he's right. Like, yeah, it was mostly giving up. Jamming, also good, but
We're gonna change it up for part 2 here.
He folded that?
Oops.
He unblocks both, huh. Alright. Oh, button already.
Change construction here.
Is
So
this
check-
hand too strong to
That one
jam?
calls a lot, right?
I don't think so. I think it's way too strong to call first button.
well, I didn't even see what it was. Peter was already
Queen
like off.
suited.
Well, we need to adjust our 3-bet strategy here because we have our versus under the gun. So we're gonna have to change these combos. So suited
does- it-
aces down to 5, suited king or offsuit
It does call
9,
some.
10. Yeah, you got jack 10.
I thought it was gonna jam sometimes.
6, 4, 3.
Yeah.
All the
The
pairs.
suited one
down-
plays nicely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it now starts raising a lot of the suited ace 10 ace jack hands that it did not under the gun, which is interesting.
You're three betting basically all the suited floor, so like worst combos across the board with the exception of your ace X.
Ace ten off was almost
Yeah.
pure call.
Yeah, your range is pretty linear and you just have a few kind of sporadic things for board coverage and balance.
This so much. This. Am I missing anything that you guys remember?
Yep. The whole
Limit.
suited floor had frequencies. So
suited
like,
aces.
except for the aces. So like, I think it was like queen six was in there some, jack seven was in there some. I don't find those enough.
Okay.
Maybe queen seven, I don't know.
King nine?
Thought it was
Honestly, I would do,
ace.
I would put all of those in there because it's like. Understanding like which ones are there and which ones aren't, I think is got value.
Ooh, against the button, 99.
Raise.
Rip it.
I
Damn.
wouldn't be surprised to see ripping. I feel like ripping's a
Damn.
little, I think
Damn.
raising, it feels a little
Yeah,
too
it's-
strong.
No,
Yeah, it's eights. It's eights
it's
is the
eights
one.
only. Yeah,
Yeah,
If it was
eights
the
and
cutoff,
sevens are the weird one. Not the weird ones, but they're the ones that like love to rip here.
You're the weird one. Don't talk to me like that.
alright, king low, low. I'm pretty
low,
sure it's
low.
just a C bet small situation.
Range bet everything.
half. No way.
Off. So this is a big deviation from what we saw against under the gun, right? Where king low low was a small bet and king with a Broadway drove up the size. So
Well,
let's
they've got
take a look at
like
some
a
reports.
mountain, yeah, they've got a mountain of trash compared to the under the gun range.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and your second pair hands in these situations want to do more bigger betting because they're the best hand at the moment, but they're vulnerable.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
So
a
if
couple-
we three bet ace queen off and button jams, is it now a call?
I think so, Danny.
Oh yeah.
In
Isn't ace
theory.
queen off like a pure jam?
Oh, right, it might be. Or is that ace jack off?
yeah, no, it's a pure call. It's a pure call. I think it's a pure call down to ace, maybe even ace 10 off, like even
We'll
calls
go
now.
through. Take a look at some things.
Can we look at a range real quick? Cause I'm like, I thought ace queen off was jamming a lot. Ace king off was jamming some.
Sure, we'll come back to that in a minute, Nick.
I think
Sorry,
five.
I'm lagging too.
So the
I've been-
monotone boards that have two broadways want to check a lot or have a bit of a polar response. And again, the same thing here with the queens. More so with jack nine, more so with 10-7. So the more connectedness, the more polarized we are in our monotone strategy. When we take a look at the flush draw, against the flush draw, our ace highs are very much using the half pot sizing, almost range betting ace nine, ace seven even,
Thanks, Galen.
right? Transitions here from ace 10 to ace seven against the flush draw. King with a Broadway is a very polarized spot on a 3-bet pot. Checking a lot. Would not have expected that. Little bit of sizing up around king 10. And then king low is just betting range. And again, we see that in the queens. Queen connected is starting to have some all in and some pot sizing, lots of checking. And then queen low is range betting. Jack connected, polarized. 10 connected, going bananas. And then down here is half pot betting a lot against the flush draw. Rainbow, again, driven by the connectedness to find the sizing. Some checks. Not a lot of checks on rainbow boards. Much more range betting. The half pot size is slightly less prominent than the flush draw board. And pairs. Half pot sizing when it's paired low. Smaller sizings. Driven to pop bets with connectedness. Except for an ace, which wants a small sizing a lot. And the king as well, even. Okay. And sorry, Nick, what did you want us to look at on the flop?
No, you're good. Galen sent it to me. I just thought ace queen was a pure jam pre-flop in it.
Oh,
Okay.
well, now I wanna see it.
All right, Galen, mail it to Danny, or Nick, mail it on. Okay.
On
We
the way.
bet and get called.
Okay.
Is this a spot where it is time to shut down or continue betting?
Alright, so like,
What size did we bet?
we bet
We
half
bet
Bet
pot.
small.
half.
Or
Oh,
did we
we
bet
bet
small?
Oh,
If we bet small, I like small again. If we bet half pot, I like checking.
This is kind of scary, a scary card, like.
Hmm?
Yeah,
But,
it's
right,
okay,
like it-
but
11 EV, we are way ahead.
He just has to defend so wide when we're range betting.
So in game, this screams value, but having the 9 of hearts can't be good here.
Oh, fucking fold. I
I think
mean,
the 9 of hearts is bad.
Yeah,
yeah, it's probably
it can't be
bad.
good. So. yeah, I'm
I
finding the-
mean, against a solver, you calling
It's
though.
just
sometimes.
miserable.
get
Yeah, he
king
has a king.
jacks.
just a king.
Alright, you three bet this.
Raise. Yeah,
Primarily
baby,
three bet.
let's go. Quarter pot.
Well.
Pair
What do we
board.
do? What do we do here?
So paired boards, the higher the pair was, the smaller the sizing. Right, against
I
the low
like-
paired boards, we wanted a lot of half pot. Against this sizing, we wanted a lot of quarter pot.
I think because we beat all of the other 9x available and there's a lot of draws, I kinda do wanna go small. I think 4
I like the quarter pot.
Red,
Mhm.
baby.
Do think
Oh.
there's, oh.
I was gonna say
Oh.
that, I was gonna say
Hello.
there is some jamming, yeah,
Excuse
because
me?
again,
Because the jack nine encourages the jamming, and then the ace, and then the pair, like basically do whatever you want.
I guess you're just trying to box up like the queen tens, king queens and the flush draws of the world.
it's
Yeah.
because
The
you,
flush draws are not in a box.
it's again, with a low SPR, your vulnerable hands want to get on all the money as quickly as possible.
And that makes sense. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
I
like
feel
on a
like
card
I'm not
like this,
making
you're
these
like,
hands now.
now what?
Now you're
Now
just
what?
kind of like, kind of
Now I hate
hosed,
life.
right? Now you're just check. I don't know what you're,
Ah, I
Call
thought
it,
there
you
was
have
like
to
no polar
call.
size on the paired boards.
I
though.
actually think you can fold this, yeah. Oh,
No,
it does want you to
why are
call,
you folding? Oh my gosh, you have a you.
but it's a
you're
different, I
folding
mean,
so
it's,
much.
Team Nid is over here folding as fast as we can.
Bro, I would fold too.
So that's
it's
why I
like-
need to just jam when you're out of position in 3-bet pots.
We
So
might
you have
jam
to
here.
Big blind
Yeah,
too,
Oh.
yeah.
or mainly only
We're
a
kind of like
small
at the
blind
stone
when we
cold
can
bottom of
make
our
these
range,
big range
and we block
advantages.
the, we'll have the nuts here. We'll still have king X.
This
Because I
is
know
why
the
we
big
call the
blind we're more
turn,
polarized.
We're blocking boats.
so we can bluff the river. Oh,
Hey,
like-
question. How many jack X does the button actually have here? Is the other
Wow,
thing
I
I'm
think-
accurate.
probably a lot, right?
They could
You
be.
know what I like about
a
pre-flop
ton,
academy?
well, not a ton, but they're gonna
It
have
doesn't
all of
show you
the
your
Jack
opponent's
nine suited.
hands.
Jack 8 suited some, they'll have
Mhm.
the
See, a wizard just
queen
wants
jack
to
off
show
probably
us
in full.
that our opponent had ace jack and was trying to make us
Well,
jam into him.
I think
It's a
it's nice to
scam.
see what hand they have in range. Like sometimes they'll show up with a hand that you might not have even expected them to have in range.
Yeah, you're like, how the frick do you have
Oh, they
that?
just have ace jack.
That's pre-flop,
No,
or
no,
I'm sorry, on the flop.
so here,
Button call node, it should be
Call
everything
node.
down to jack nine, yeah? Or
I was gonna
Yep,
say
even
Jack
Jack
8
eight.
some.
Mm,
But they
Yeah,
mainly have
they have a
suited
bit of
jacks
this, they
and
have
they
a
don't
bit
have
of
jack
this,
10.
they have a bit of this.
it's pretty contested, to be honest. Like, it is a little surprising that it's just like completely disrespecting the fact that he's got a mountain of jack X here.
and
Yeah, we don't,
piling.
and we
I
don't have as
agree.
much Jack, we don't have as much Jack X because we actually 3-bet or shove a fair amount of ours.
Yeah,
Right,
so we got
it's,
like,
surprising to see us pile.
I mean, we flat or shove. a fair amount of ours is what I meant to say.
What else is in our jamming range though? I mean, it's mixing, so you're not jamming this every time you're like mixing it.
Yeah, we jam ace jack off a lot. We jam jack 10
This
suited.
is the highest
fold.
frequency jam
So
in
king
our
10.
range. King ten is the next, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hold
Is
on,
that
what are the
king 10
value
with-
hands here?
With no spade would jam more? Or do you wanna have a spade?
All the king
This
tens
guy,
without a spade want to jam here. A king 10 of
And
spades is too strong, and then
Can you have their
here,
offsuit? Yeah.
yeah, it's, you don't want to have a heart, right?
hey, will you look at the range breakdown of different hand classes, that thing that they have? Yeah, this. Okay, so like, where is?
Trips.
I wanna look at the draws.
So it's all on this side here. So the
Okay.
ones that we are using the purple sizing with is the gut shots. And the
You wanna see ours
backdoor
or theirs,
flush.
Galen?
I wanna see theirs, because like, I think like one of the driving things that's creating these really polar sizings is like such a large component of their range is draw heavy.
For sure.
Like, they're gonna have hands that wanna see later streets, so we're benefiting from like front loading our equity in our range, just because.
Yeah, so you're folding you're making them fold gut shot, you're making them fold the backdoor flush draw.
Right.
Yeah,
with-
So
you're cashing out your
cards.
equity at a spot where you're most likely ahead, and you're still drawing to, and you're drawing to the nuts potentially if you spike
Right,
another 9.
so like trips, if
True.
you look at their trips to like draw ratio, like backdoor flush draw, one card is a lot, backdoor flush
You're
draw.
folding out a lot of
two
ace highs, king
cards, gut
highs, no made
shots.
hand.
Like, they've got as
Those
many
pair.
gut shots here, just gut shots, as they do trips. So like when you factor in like nut flush draws, combo draws, open-ended straight draws. Like, just so much of their range wants to, play multi-street. So,
But you don't want to
Alright,
play
I have a
multi-street
question.
in position.
Would
You're
you
out of
still
position,
jam
say fuck you.
if you're against an opponent who you have like a pretty strong read on and you think you can play well on later streets against?
I mean, if you have
Or
a
does
read
it
on
not matter
someone,
with this hand?
well, I mean, if you have a read on somebody, like, they still make straights and flushes the same way as someone you don't have a read on.
Yeah,
That's the problem. The problem is this board is so connected, you can't really. You just.
It's
This is with low SPRs, you just don't get to outplay people up with low SPR. in
what
low
if we
SPR
put it
spots.
at 50% ICM? Are we not doing that today, I guess, but I'm always
No.
curious how
We're
that shifts
working on
things.
the base foundation of our construction. The ICM course is gonna be taught by someone else on a different night.
Okay,
But
Peter is like, "This
I
is
am
the
taking
basics class, get
volunteers
outta
for
here,
people who wanna
Danny."
teach. I am taking volunteers for people who do wanna teach ICM on Wednesday nights. Anyone? Anyways,
Maybe.
here, the bottom line is when we jam here, our opponent, if we look at the equity buckets, they have 20% hands that are just gonna be super easy, 16% hands that are gonna be really easy. And then these weak hands, are our opponents going to find all these weak hands? Right?
No,
Are
yeah,
they
probably not,
calling
man.
with king, queen of hearts? With ace 10 of hearts? With king, queen off with one spade?
Yeah, when you
Right?
go super polar, man, you're just like smoking that range.
They're just not gonna find quite enough call offs probably.
Are they gonna call with 8s? Right?
Yeah. I mean, I
if
feel
they're a
like
fish, they'll call all that. for sure.
there's players out there that are gonna flick in the call button with those hands, but there's also players who are gonna be folding,
You're gonna be folding
they're-
10-9 there, right? You're
they're gonna be
folding-
folding, yeah, 10-9s. They're gonna make mistakes and flat pocket tens pre-flop, and then they're gonna just fold pocket tens when you pile on them or something like.
Yeah,
Or they might fold four or five of spades.
Yep, that's another one. They're gonna have like a junky flush draw and just be like, well,
Paired board. I'm
Yeah.
drawing dead.
I would fold 4 or 5 of spades.
alright, so
Probably.
I do a mountain of calling with this hand here.
Okay, so
What?
low frequency.
3-bet.
3-bet.
We're definitely three
I'm
betting.
three betting. So good.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not doing, so like. I guess I gotta check.
Too strong. Let's take a look
Ace
at
10
where
off
we
calls here.
separate our value range from our bluff range here.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
start calling ace nine suited a lot.
So,
Yeah,
The deeper, the later the position, the more you're gonna three bet those suited ace X,
I
big
think you
suited
would
ace X
Yeah.
call it
hands.
in the big blind, you would call ace jack suited here, right? Or maybe that one's still,
I think you
Little
still
too
probably three
good.
bet if you're three betting it there. Yeah,
right.
honestly, I'm just too tight there, like.
So
Just way
if
too tight.
you kind of look at this line as it doesn't care if it goes all in or if it raises or if it calls. Right? Everything above this is going to be value. Right? Everything kind of below this is going to be bluffs. Right? And that's going
I'm
to be the same here. Right?
pretty
Ace
happy
jack.
three betting ace jack suited and calling off a four bet jam.
That's the thing, right? If you're happy calling the four bet jam, then yeah, definitely three bet.
Oh, it prints in theory to call.
So we'll also take a look when we three bet. What are they four bet jamming? Is this what our opponents are four bet jamming?
Honestly, it looks kinda reasonable, like, it may be a little wide.
this is the big blind.
Oops, sorry. Folds.
It's
Back to
taking
bottom.
like all of the pairs, the polar ace X. And like your strongest ace X. And then there's like king, queen off in there, which is kinda like, eh.
Yeah,
don't
I
know
mean,
if-
the one thing I don't think you see a lot of is the twos through sixes shoves.
I'm
I
actually
think
pretty
I
good
think you
about
see more
finding
sevens and
those.
eights.
Yeah, I was
probably
about to
highly
say,
here.
I find those.
I'm
I think this
surprised to
is
see that threes is full frequency. I didn't expect that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, twos and threes are just twos, threes, and I mean, it's price fours is doesn't do it as much, but usually the small pairs in these configurations, they're just fine running it.
I mean,
I
the
guess
EV
threes
is
and
pretty
sixes
low.
on block, ace four suited and ace five suited, right?
Could be, yeah.
And
probably
then like
That's why fours and
heuristics.
fives do it less.
see pretty big
Sevens
jumps,
become,
these fours and fives and these eights and
Mhm.
fives. So,
yeah, sevens are just good enough now to start
Yeah,
calling.
and in reality, a lot of these equities like fours, five, sixes, sevens, eights, it all runs pretty much the same.
ooh, monotone.
Oh,
Now, what was our monotone strategy?
It's gonna, since like both,
mainly range
both,
bet.
yeah, both players have a lot of flushes here. I think we still just play a pretty small bet strategy here.
Yeah, I mean, either 10% or 25%. I
It
think
was the connectedness that drove up the bet size around the jacks too. So
Mhm.
jack seven is going to be disconnected enough to drive down the bet size.
I like 4-8 here a lot, is what
Yeah.
I would do in game.
Half
I might go
pot
half
though,
here in game.
with top, maybe just stacked pot ratio is pretty low. If you have a flush, you have a flush.
Yeah. And it's kind of a vulnerable-ish, but very strong top pair.
Speaking
about-
of vulnerable,
How about that, how about if he's got a flush, he's got a flush? Does it still apply when the fourth spade comes in?
oh, we still bet.
Nah,
Oh, interesting.
two is
Micro bet.
interesting. I kinda like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, usually you can bet really small on these equity completing.
Every worst jack is probably still a theory call.
I think it's more than that. I think there's a lot of sevens that probably still have to call.
oh boy.
Yeah, it could be.
This is a give up.
And this is a give up or go home.
Ah. Bluff him
And
off the
it
chop.
is slightly better to bluff him off the chop.
We have, one of the worst hands we arrive here now.
Oh, pocket
That's a
king.
that's a hard hand to bluff out of a pot.
Yeah.
Behind every street.
Alright, so sevens, we definitely have some reasoning here.
I think jamming is
Jam.
probably not crazy.
Jam,
How frequently?
jam.
Oh,
90%?
I was gonna say like 70.
When we don't, it's a raise. So I know lots of people have a pure strategy here. Uh-oh,
You gotta call.
we're
Yeah.
definitely calling.
Yeah, we have to call
Prince
now.
7 chips.
Wow.
Ace
Oh
4.
my gosh, ace 4, get out of here. You know not. You know what,
Wrecked.
the dealer would put the ace on the river just to spite, but you know,
Ooh.
it's okay. We
How
did
frequently are you
profitable.
3-betting queen jack off?
Yes,
Not
we are gonna
not
do it this
frequently,
time.
not frequently enough.
20.
About
Quarter
half.
of the time. Let's say 35%. More than a quarter, less than half.
All right.
35. Let's go.
Half the time.
Half the time. Yeah, you know, actually Queen Jack kind of likes it.
Let's take a look at that offsuit branch for a sec here with this 3-bet range construction. So looks like about 40%, 50, 50, 75, 25. So all of this stuff rebetting a lot more than you would think. Pretty
Just don't
savage.
call. Just oh, it looks like it calls
It
a lot.
plays
in
well
the suited,
post.
the suited range calls,
It has blockers.
and then the wait, what's our raise call off range?
It
I know
Plays well
7,
post
all the
with the reduced
pairs.
SPR, that is. Raise call off range. 8s plus.
No, we were calling off 7s. We're not even playing.
4s.
Basically everything that's suited. If it's suited or if
You
it's
wait,
if it's
Peter.
ace 10, you call.
By the way,
Yep.
4s isn't even close. Like 4s is very profitable.
Pairs,
Yeah,
pairs.
And it's
the
assuming, but it's
fours are-
assuming that you're jamming, that the button's gonna be jamming a lot of that,
Real
Threes,
stuff.
deuces.
those wheel
Well, if you're
ace X
playing
stuff.
against
hands.
a barbecue dad, don't
Mm.
do it.
Barbecue dad.
Barbecue dad.
Then maybe jam free, right?
All right. So we 3-bet, we get this.
But you
10,
saw that
7,
the
6.
pairs are making more than the ace 10 off.
They already have a pair.
Peter,
don't
I was
have to hit.
curious if you could do it by weight, just so we could see how our,
Sure.
if it's not too late.
Can we study mastering Badoogie?
Oh yeah. All right. So you were
Well,
looking
now,
versus
sorry.
40 small blind, and you wanted to do this by weight.
Yeah. Alright,
Yeah, by weight, we're not 3-betting 4s as much. We're probably calling. But if we did 3-bet 4s, we're calling off.
Yep.
But we 3-bet 9s and call off at full weight. At 8's most a really good weight.
Mhm.
And
I just
then
needed a frequency reminder. Alright, cool.
We get this
Uh,
10, 7, 6.
we don't get the jam. We probably half pot it.
So
Or
they
it might
have
be
a
When we,
check. I
when
think
we,
it's
when
a
we,
check.
when we don't block
This seems like a check,
multiple
actually.
continues. Yeah, when you don't block multiple continue hands, I think we talked about this before. You tend to lean more check.
This is like a bad check, I think.
We block a lot of continues.
No, I
I'm
like
always
half
betting here.
potting. We have a jack and a queen. Like we don't have any benefit of checking either.
Alright,
so
so let me ask, if you're gonna 3-bet a hand like jack, queen off, how do you plan to win the pot here? Like,
I want
he's
to
gonna,
bet half pot and hope they fold. Please fold.
he's got like a ton of better hands that we can make fold. You're blocking pocket jacks, you're blocking pocket queens. It's a rainbow middling board. The
And our
one
opponent-
problem,
The one
Yeah,
problem is our opponent has a lot of tens here.
I don't
one
care. We have a lot of
problem-
sense too.
I don't even
Yeah.
think the I think the 10's a neutral card. We have as much 10x as he does. I think the big problem is he has 8, 9, and I don't think we do. So I don't
then-
know. I still wanna go 9, 6, I think.
We 3-bet
with-
some 7s and some 10s, right?
I'm 100% with Galen. I think we're betting 9.6 here frequently.
Half pot is what I said after I changed my mind.
Well, you're in there, Viv. Hop in the train.
Hey, it is a check. I hate you guys.
Largely a check.
It's because we just don't have anything. It's just like it's kind of imbalanced. We don't have any, like, when you're out of position, you want to bet. You have to have some give ups. You need some more equity.
So my question is, if
They
it
get to
was
they get to call too
9,
much.
7, 5, I'm sorry, not 9. I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight. If it was 10, 7, 5 or 10, 6, 5, would the story be the same? Like
No, it would be different.
how impactful is the fact that they have 8, 9 and we don't?
I think it would be the same.
Later.
It's probably fairly impactful.
I think it's hugely impactful actually, because
I
it's
think it
going to
is.
change. It's gonna change a lot of the connectivity.
Team changes nothing. Oh, look at that. It
3%
changes
checks.
everything.
It
Yeah.
changes everything. Now we get to kind of like,
We just
now that,
range
yeah.
bet and push our overpair equity.
Yeah, that jack queen now is like, yeah, you don't have to behave as much, you know? You
Yep.
Go get the folds.
So
Okay,
it bets
so we're in
half
a
pot on
terrible
the 10, 7,
Yeah.
5, right?
Yeah.
It's
Half
just,
pot or quarter pot.
Because also,
It's-
like, think about it, this board enables a lot of draws. When it's 10, 7, 5, they have so many less draws too.
Yeah,
with
you're
their
right.
suited
There,
9x
it's not
and
even 8,
suited
9.
X.
I think it's all the one card gut shots that exist.
Yeah, it also has stuff like 7, 6 too. There's just a lot of other stuff that comes into play. The 5 is way more neutral.
But yeah, it's gonna be hard to make like any 8 or any 9 fold.
So we're just like,
It'd
I
be easy to
question
make
my
our queen jack
decision.
fold.
Because
You
the
win.
equity, I guess, of 3-betting this was trying to make him fold.
Look
I
at that.
mean,
That's
Yeah,
hard.
when you're
but
3-betting queen jack pre, you're trying to get king X to fold, basically.
yeah, oh, it's a bluff, 100%.
This one called a lot.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, but
So
we're doing
this is the
tournaments, all good.
35% that I was thinking about.
Ooh, alright.
This is one of those textures, I think you might see some big bets.
But we would not use this.
Probably not,
Yeah.
right?
Um,
Like,
We might.
Should
Like-
check a lot
We're not really 3-betting suited connectors, right? Like,
or just bet
Or,
small.
or
Nine,
does this
7,
bet
8.
a lot because we have such a huge? Because he doesn't have a lot of.
Pair.
This isn't like the big blind spot where he has a lot of 6-3-3-2 type hands. And we have all the overpairs. So we're probably gonna have quite a few hands that are gonna wanna bet really big here, like probably our 7s through 10s, and that our then we're gonna have aces. But just our overpairs want to bet here a lot, and if when our overpairs wanna bet here a lot, we're gonna have to
So-
balance that with
Well, we
bluffs.
just have like an overall range advantage. Can't we just bet small?
I was gonna ask, how many pairs do you think either player really has in these ranges?
Like we have way
Not a
more.
lot.
Because a lot of them jam. So you're
Yes.
strapped, small blind is strapped on 8s and 7s and 6s, 4s, 3s. So. And then like the response from the button
Very-
is like, they have nothing. They have like pocket 8s and 7s. That's about it. And aces and kings. They've got like. So
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant like the pair situation is.
Yeah, blast, and I love it.
So that being said, like the fact that both players don't have a ton of pairs and we have the better ones, I kinda like betting.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
Open,
think we
yeah.
always bet here. I think it's just whether you would
Yeah.
bet this is a range bet smaller if you get to like size up.
Right. I think
Definitely
you do have
sizing
to
up
be
a
a
lot.
little behaved because they do have 5-4, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
they-
4 combos of 5-4 compared to what the 200
What's
some
our-
odd combos they
What's our
have.
flop
But
strategy?
again,
with
it's all the
ace-king?
one card. He has ace 4 and ace 5. That'll continue for any size. Maybe some like king 5 suited. I don't know what they're supposed to call with.
So now do we bet again to get hearts and single spades to fold?
Can we look at our flop
Uh,
betting strategy?
Sure.
It's a good question, Peter. I don't know if we go 2 barrels here. I feel like the deuce is a brick, which kinda makes me wanna just barrel again.
Yeah, I agree. I
Right,
think
we
this is a
still wanna
spot.
Push our overpair equity advantage. So
Because
not a
we-
check.
Because now at this
Off, let me
point, we would be
size
playing
up.
our aces, we would probably be
Okay.
like continuing to barrel our, yeah, like our
Pocket queens,
tens,
pocket jacks.
our tens plus are probably gonna want to bet either. I don't know, would those hands want to just start shoving now? I think some of our range is gonna want to start shoving turn now.
So we
So
did
considering-
bets. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Considering it's a range bet on the flop, we're gonna start having give ups. I think this hand's probably one of them. I think we're gonna want a spade to continue barreling.
Hmm,
My instinct would be to bet 7-2 here because backdoor hearts bricked and single spades that called us bricked. And we
Yeah, I'm gonna
definitely
go
can get better to
geometric.
fold.
I definitely wanna go geometric. I think like geometric is the size.
I mean, it's stacked
Yeah, scare
bottom
him
one,
off.
right?
It's probably that or check, right? It might do some of both.
Actually,
It's
does like a little bit of everything.
a bit of everything, but
It
primarily
jams.
Hey,
checking
solver,
or
what should I do? A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
but again, I think the idea is you leverage your over pairs and get to bet them again at this size. And you do get give ups from some hearts and some single spades now.
So it must be nice to unblock both spades and hearts, right?
Are we all in now? I think we're
Now
all
that the
in.
term bricked out.
Mm,
I'm all in
Oh,
because
I mean, do we have a worse hand?
Yeah, no, we're just all in.
He's
I
just
think
got,
whenever we,
does,
We
that
still
we have to
unblock
that
spade.
river.
My jacks are all in, so I guess this crap is all in too.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh no, what the fuck? He called me, oh yeah, sick. No.
I was gonna say, if
I
he's
so-
holding,
told
King
you
six
that I
was there,
had
probably king
jacks
five was
and you
there.
didn't believe me.
Yeah.
Call me with king six when I have jacks, sucker. And then see what happens.
sounds like you're taking that personal, Vivian.
Can we look at his defending range pre? I know we
Sure.
saw what he jams, but just like what the bottom of the calls are.
Sure.
Should be like suited eight
Yeah, I know we
slash
looked at this once
nines.
already, sorry.
No problem.
Every time we look, I'm like looking at different portions and I tunnel and I don't see the rest of it. So
So
down to
his
queen five.
general, he's defending his offsuit tens a bit, and he's defending his suited eights. He's
Some
got some
suited
suited
kings.
connectors and a few extra kings and aces.
Down to king four.
But I mean, they're mixing, right? So really,
Mhm.
it's the suited aces with one or two extra, and the suited connectors all the way down.
Cool. Alright, thank you.
No problem. Okay, paired board in the middle.
I mean, sevens are pretty much a blank, right? Because he just doesn't
Yeah.
have a lot of 7x.
So.
I don't think you have to be, I don't think you have to be that respectful.
You
Okay.
could go pretty big here and push your overpair advantage. But so you're probably split between.
Kings are so good, right? You prefer to
Yeah,
size
you
down?
could probably go quarter.
I like
Yeah.
red or gray. I think
Yeah.
red is gonna be the answer for me, though.
I
I
like
think,
red
like-
or.
Yeah, I think your
orange.
gray is gonna be your eights and nines, and I think
I like that, Jamie. I think you are gonna have some bigger sizing with some more vulnerable ones, but like, we're not very vulnerable here,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
It's a
sounds
way
good.
ahead, way behind type of scenario.
Can we see what else we bet two with there? Well, I guess we'll
Sure.
encounter it again, maybe?
I'll give
No,
you,
not the
I'll give you a
same board,
hint,
no.
Danny. It's pocket sevens.
And pocket threes, yeah.
Oh, I have to open the other board, sorry.
Pocket aces.
Let's see what
What-
combos are.
What bluffs are we betting two with?
That's fair ends.
Queen ten of hearts. Queen ten of clubs.
Or two bet sizing. Contains quads, kings and aces. all the aces that are here that we just bet a bunch of the ace and king.
King, queen suited.
Right? All
that a
three of
value
the
bet?
backdoor flushes.
Nah, king,
It's fu-
queen,
It's just
think it's-
fighting some random stuff.
it's a bloof.
I don't know. It's kinda mergy. Betting
It's
two.
pretty high equity for a bluff,
Maybe.
right? But it's just like this board like he doesn't have like king queen's pretty good here. Right? Like ace eight is printing 10 chips.
I mean, honestly, like, can you find a, it's hard to find a hand that's much worse than like 4-7-5 there.
All right. 33%. King 10 off. Feels
Alright,
dirty.
I need to find more of this in my game. Alright, so like, if there's one that we ever play check with, it would be one like this. But.
nah,
It's a super contested board,
Respectfully.
right? King, jack, 5. I think you gotta bet like, what, half here?
So
Yeah, I think it's at least
oh wait, we
half.
did say, did we see a lot of checking on the two broadways in this configuration? I guess
Not
we did,
really.
didn't we?
I
The
don't think you
half,
did.
king is
But I
going
would still
to
not check this hand with no spade and.
Yeah. Half,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't
I
even
like
be
half.
shocked if this would even went bigger.
king high boards
go
are
ahead,
going to be range bet boards. I'm not going to check a lot of king high boards in a 3-bet pot.
Yeah,
Question is, are we going to bet big or small?
I like 9-6.
The connectedness of the king and the jack kind of want to drive up the bet size. The flush draw kind of want to drive up the bet size. Maybe 14-4 here. Maybe 9-6.
I'm still a 9-6 fan.
Yeah, I would think 9-6 would be, seems about right.
I like both.
Would not be shocked if it was bigger, but
I mean, you guys never pot this?
If we didn't have the 10 of hearts,
Nah,
if
not
like,
this one.
if we had clubs and diamonds, maybe I could get behind going absolutely crazy.
All right. Oh, yep, there it is. Both of them are just fine. Little too spewy to go pot, but
Oh,
3/4
wait.
pot's not unreasonable here.
Nice.
I will
So
say
what are
that
the
I think
hands betting
you
big on
said I
here?
think you're gonna find that this checks a little more than you think, because I think you're gonna have some hands that are going to want to check or check.
It's a king high board.
bet
not
small or
checking
check.
sizzle.
I think I agree. Yeah, I was remembering when
king
we looked at
six.
the range
I'm wrong.
breakdown.
King 6, king 4, king 3. It's like the suited ones or the worst
Yeah,
ones.
you're gonna have second pair hands, really bad kings that could get coolered by better kings.
It's actually checking a
jacks.
bunch, like 40%.
I guess we
is-
don't have as many like three
Yeah.
street
Yeah,
hands.
in
like,
small blind versus
and
button,
they
we
have
check a lot
around
of
the
two Broadway.
same.
Mhm. Hey, Peter, will you hover that king 10? I'm curious if, which one's going the craziest?
Yep, it's the ones without the spade or without the heart particularly.
Right, so that diamond and club
Combination.
combo there in the bottom right, yeah, that's where
Yeah.
unblocking the front and backdoor flush, where they have all the continues.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and then king 10 of diamonds, king 10 of clubs.
Yeah, you see a lot of when it's two connected Broadway cards and a low card, you see a lot of checking, and then some polarized bets.
Well, I mean, we have top pair.
You're
have a
blocking the
gutter.
nuts.
stick.
What are
it
we
in.
gonna do?
I like all in.
I
That
like it
wasn't
too.
you?
I need to start going all in more.
Yeah,
Get
it's
your ace
just-
jack fixed.
Yes. Yes. We did it. We won.
Alright, I like
Alright.
nada.
Pure
8,
yellow.
6.
Like
100%. Let's go. And king high flop.
Is this
Small.
one of the checks
Two?
or is small? Oh, never mind. It's not a check because my king
King
jack.
low,
queen
low,
is
I think
tiny,
is still
tiny.
fine to bet range.
But it likes half pot better. No,
Even
that's
half?
quarter pot.
Or
Quarter
sorry,
pot, not
pot,
yeah.
10%. Why are you betting 10%? 10%
Well,
is
I
for
disrespect
monotone
them.
boards.
Or rainbow boards.
So now what do we do? Stack
Small
pot
again
ratio
or
is 1.
check?
Second pair.
I would go
Oh,
small
have
again or
hearts.
check. I think
I
checking
don't
is
have
not
small in
unreasonable.
my game as much as check
We can't
check.
go 3 streets, right? So probably check
Can-
now.
Can you not, Danny? Can you?
Can we? It feels a little too thin,
Ah,
no?
Small and then it goes half pot. I guess because like
Honestly, half pot's kinda wild here. I'm not doing this in my game.
I like small.
Well, I
small,
I
but,
think
like,
the
this
reason you
small
don't
half
do
makes
this
sense.
in
Check.
It doesn't check. I think it just goes
Yeah.
in and
Yeah, I-
almost all the
Did
time
you
I
see the
study this
river?
spot.
They like, every gut shot continue is now in. It's two
I
pair
think-
or a straight.
Wait, let me see.
I think the intuition
yeah.
though, that you're saying about not
my
wanting to
God.
like
I can't see this.
bet this
Oh, it's a-
big on the turn makes sense because I think your opponents will just be way too king value heavy when they get to the
Mhm.
turn.
Well, yeah,
I
it just
mean,
feels
it
like
is
you're gonna be
true that
value owning
people are
yourself.
not.
Yeah.
People don't continue. Like a
They-
lot
they
of
don't
times you
continue
study these
enough.
spots, and you're like, no, the people fold a lot like a lot more often to turn bets than they should.
What's going on in this hand?
But
So our opponent gets here with a lot of hearts. And a lot of touch draws.
I hate playing like this kind of out of position hand though. I mean,
I mean, when
you're
we get
shit
here
if you
this way,
check
we
and you're
have
shit
to-
if you all
yeah.
in.
when we get here this way, we have to shove, right? I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
but I
Does
think this
queens
is
make
one
a
of those.
good? No.
You
It's
know
a
what,
value
Broke my
bet.
brain.
Oh man, we just
Alright.
gave him our chips.
I mean, that's what I would expect to see, but okay.
That's why I like
He
small.
had all those
small, like,
sixes too. I
It-
just, people
It's a
won't
value
play
bet
like
because
that.
he's gonna have some small pairs that like call.
Yeah, he still has some sixes that gotta continue and some.
Well, maybe not sixes, but you know what I mean, like eights.
So he has
fives.
some wheel draws that made a pair,
Yeah,
eights.
Yeah,
90% three bet. Ace seven off.
I'm
Feels
not
dirty.
doing this. Yeah, I'm not doing this enough.
Oh,
Are you leaning over to this column, Galen?
I am.
yeah.
no,
See,
I
ah.
like that.
yeah. I mean, but it's close. Like ace six is mostly folding.
That's
so
only
ace-
versus the button, right? Because versus
Yeah.
the cutoff and hijack, we just fold, right?
Oh,
But I
Uh,
did
I
notice
think
I
we're
had a
in
leak
here,
in not
and then-
three betting the hijack as
Huh.
much as I should
Ace, king, two
because
tone.
I'm fish.
This is going to be like a lot of big betting. I
Yeah.
think.
Is
But
this
this,
like you mean big bet or check or what?
this
it is
hand
all just big
particular,
bet.
We
Period.
have all the nuts. I mean, we can just. I mean, we can't go three streets with this hand, but
We
Why
do
not?
we're
definitely have a
probably
lot of
big
hands that
betting
would check.
half.
so you remember how earlier there was like a split range? Like, I think this would get slotted in maybe into the weaker side. I like 4-8, I think, Peter, but I definitely think you're gonna have like some healthy betting on this type of a board.
Like, is it like our gut shots want to bet big and like our best aces?
Queen ten of hearts, jack ten of hearts,
I
jack
just think
ten with one spade.
all of your ace X just wants to go big and get the money in now on this board because your
I mean, you
opponent's
do
gonna have a lot
notice
of connectivity.
studying three betting pots, and you're like, if you have a pair, you're just stacking off because
You
that's
just run I think you run the risk of just value owning yourself against like ace ten, ace nine, ace.
Yeah, I think it's a
jacks.
little different here because we're against the button.
So
as
you like
opposed to, say,
quarter
the under
pot
the
and
gun.
then check turn.
Okay, so let's actually check that real quick. What is the strongest ace that they're calling with here?
Is jack. No, they jam a lot of ace X. You're correct. When you look at
Ace
these
jack.
ranges,
So ace, jack
well, it's
offsuit
probably
is
jamming.
mainly jamming, but they do have ace, jack suited, ace ten, ace nine. They've got all the wheels to some extent.
Yeah, they've got all the
They're
kings though,
jamming a
and
lot
the
of the
kings
wheels.
and the kings at this SPR probably stack off too. And that's a
So-
big thing.
Most of their aces are better than us here.
But-
But all
Yeah.
of their kings are worse, which makes me want to bet small and keep his kings.
I like going thin, targeting his king X. But I'm not gonna go big. I don't think a
Makes
big bet
sense.
makes sense. It does,
No, it likes
though.
half. It does like
Yes.
half.
No, just wants to go half.
Yeah.
Is there a
We
split
just want to
range? I want to
run.
see if it's half pot always or split. for
Before
real.
you, yeah,
Sure.
you should check to see if it's split.
Let's take a look. Before we turbo the turn.
Mhm.
So what are we doing?
Hmm,
All the aces are going big.
Yeah, it's just the ace, king, two-tone nature. Like, it
yeah, so
doesn't
it's
even
mostly
care.
not split.
Doesn't even care.
Yeah, it wants to.
It does small bet with some shit like
Aces,
22% checking
kings.
on this board, so there is checking, but it's mainly like because you have a
Checks
lot of
on-
under pairs
It,
that
it, it,
that just
it's
don't
it's really
like this.
just not worried about. It's really not worried about flushes because the ace and king on board. There's really basically not that many flushes in range for the button. And well, not really. Like there's some queen.
So
Your
we
queen
have
high,
some of
jack
the
high.
advantage, but our advantage is not as big as we think because it's
You know, funny enough, I think the fact that ace, king of spades are on board, I think the caller is gonna have more flushes than we do. More flush draws than we do.
So the opponent has 34 combos of flushes in their range,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it is, they're still pretty well protected, even when the ace and the king are down here.
Yeah. We just have so much of our range is strong here.
Yep.
Compared to the button that we just get to kind of go crazy.
Yeah.
Alright, so when we get to this turn, we saw that our ace was just pounding it in. I mean, it's half top pair with stack to pot ratio of half. Is there anything to do but stuff? Nothing to do but stuff. 24 chips. It's a good play.
Would we ever have any non-all-in bets? Oh, we just get like wrecked by the button, like smooth calling our three bet.
Yep, the pocket kings. So
That is the tricky thing to remember is that aces and kings will, the button will flat aces and kings here a lot, if not in full.
there is a little bit. So ace queen wants to take a smaller size. So there's a few other
Jack
things.
10. Yeah, Jack 10 wants to too. Yeah, I was just
Right.
wondering if you had like the nuts here, if you were ever trying to like
Yep.
bet small to induce.
Yep, top two and straight balance the stuff.
Okay.
I mean, they also like they don't care what the river is. They're never
Yeah.
folding. Right? So. All right. Oh, your call.
We have to call? God,
I
what
don't
do
know
we
why
do?
we have a call in here. All right. Called us off. 10-6. Gross. Okay. This is a 3-bet pot day. We're not we're not taking no call lines. All right. Ace 9. We give it a 3-bet. Get stuffed on. Like we saw this before. Ace 10 calls, ace 9 folds. To escape. And we get bluff.
Hmm.
Ten 8. Ooh, how often are you 3-betting this combo?
Not enough.
A little bit,
Like, very rarely.
Very rarely.
little
Like-
smidge.
4.5%.
Yeah.
All right. You are a maniac if you're finding this combo, but let's give it a go.
I love three betting this hand,
All right.
just not in this configuration.
Welcome to the flock, where we have a very marginal made hand on an ace high board.
Well,
Bet
since
four?
we range bet this, I think we bet this small. maybe either quarter or 10%, probably quarter, actually. I think quarter would be our primary
Yeah,
bet
with
here.
clubs, we probably go bigger and the 8 is like low enough that it's kind of vulnerable to stuff.
Oh, but I just really want to target the auto folds. Right? Like I want to put 2 chips in this pot and then check it down.
Yeah, I'm still team red.
Both are very viable. Slightly higher EV, generating a little more fold equity. But I go to admit my plan is to put 2 chips in and check. Does anyone want to barrel here?
Could we block?
Yeah, let's bet 2 again.
No, I
Two
think you could
again?
bet. I think you bet 2 here, actually. I think you bet 2 quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing but not cuz I don't believe it. I do wanna bet 2.
The triple jarl. All
I
right,
just think it's
it is a
funny.
thing. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's fine. Still the higher EV line. You get called by worse. Well, the flush came in, overcard came in. Please tell me this is a give up.
Check.
I would check now, yeah.
All right, thank goodness.
See if he's gonna bet,
Check,
because
check.
think about it.
Pocket
Oh.
sevens.
Max
Max.
value.
That was nice. All right.
Huh, so maybe the 2-2 line works better than going quarter on the flop and then trying to check down.
Actually, I don't know why this is in here, because I'm pretty sure like our nines always flat, our suited nines always
Yeah.
flat.
Maybe there's
Yeah,
like
we
a
just
one
added some
in
stuff
here.
before we were sure of the ranges, I think.
Yeah.
We can tighten up the range if you want, Peter.
No, we're only
Either
gonna
way.
do a couple more hands
Okay,
for tonight.
yeah, this
Same
calls.
Same here.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
Run it.
it's okay. This
Oh,
is
we
how
got there.
reinforce our, where the boundaries are.
All right, so here we go. Pocket fours.
Yam,
Mostly. Okay, mixing. So
mixing
we do
everything.
play it as a 3-bet. Oh, are you
Oh,
calling
we
off
saw
with it?
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it prints.
It prints 3 chips. And not fold. And just get cooler. Savage.
Didn't print that
Alright.
time.
82% 3-bet. Find your 3-bets from that small blind.
Yeah,
Small
once we
bet.
finish, I wanna look at the offsuit ace branch one more time.
Sure, we can take a look at that for you. So it's gonna be very heavy, except for, I think it's ace 10. Ace 10 flats a lot, and everything else is 3-betting superfluously.
So I've been getting that wrong. I used to have that in my game and then I took it out cuz I thought it was like too wide. Somehow.
Ace 10, lots of flats. Everything else, lots of 3-bets. Right, even slivers with ace jack and ace queen. Like, I got to admit, I mostly just run these 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I don't have a lot of 3-bets in there, so I got to find a few 3-bets once in a while here.
For coverage, sure.
Yep.
Alright, so yeah, 9, 8, 7, and then some 5 as well for the offsuit.
King 7. Time for a disrespectful 2 big blind bet.
I think you go quarter, actually. I would go quarter. I'm sure 2 isn't bad, but I think quarter is probably primarily gonna be used here. Would be my hunch.
If you had trip kings, what's he gonna continue with?
What the solver is gonna continue with, or what a human being is gonna continue with, because those are 2 totally different, like,
True.
because like I would be betting smaller as an exploit with with kings here. I'd be probably betting like
2.
or I would be betting big, knowing that my opponent's only going to be calling me with like worse.
Okay, we get an easy one.
Yeah.
We'll do 1 or 2 more before we wrap up. So we just saw lots of 3-betting from these aces all the way down to ace 5. And we get stuffed on. You saw that ace 10 is defending. Ace 8 is just the fold. Ooh, gives us the nines.
Quite a fun one. King 9. That's a pure
Ooh.
call.
Pure call again,
Pure
yeah.
call. All right. Stack it off.
Oh, we
Jams
got
up
there. Yeah, we are running
ace
good.
six.
Wait,
Fold.
what? We 3-bet and then called off king 9 suited just now?
No, it's
we
a pure
just stuffed
call,
it.
so.
We
so
just
jammed
stuffed. Peter was
to
on
end the
tilt.
exercise.
Wait,
right,
was
so-
all in the right answer?
No,
No, it's a call.
it's a pure call. But we
Okay, 'cause I
wanted to
don't
get to a
remember
three
not-
bet hand, so we just jammed it.
Okay.
Ace 6. We have a low frequency spot where we occasionally raise it, primarily fold it. And we get stuffed on. So we get an easy spot.
He just knows.
It knows you're trying to find a.
All right. Ace queen off. How often are you jamming this? How often are you raising this?
We'll take the 10% raise here.
Okay.
The rest
90%
rips it.
stuff. Seems pretty reasonable. Oh, mathematician. Let's go.
Let's go.
What? Let's have a
right.
party.
Run it.
Stand
Oh,
up.
got him.
We hold.
80
mean,
bigs.
We get there.
Oh, the minutia 10-8. Seven, 7-4. Quarter pot or half pot?
We saw this board earlier. I forget what we had that time.
7-4.
Oh, it's
think
seven,
this is-
7-3. We had kings and we bet quarter, I believe.
Yeah, I think this is a quarter pot too.
Quarter pot. Bit of disrespectful betting.
That was 7-7-3 rainbow the other time. Okay,
Ooh, pick up
a little different. Oh, double gutter.
Pick up equity. Like it.
Hmm. Do we ever
Double
just go
belly
all in?
buster barrel.
I don't think we ever go all in, but we could go big. I think
Could go
you go
like
big.
14,
Yeah, I think you go 14 here.
price ourselves in if he rips it.
So. If we bet 14, is he going to fold a flush draw?
No.
So
In,
then,
in theory, he's supposed to. In theory, he is supposed to fold. In theory, he is supposed to fold flush draws because he's now not getting the right direct. Right, as with at least his bad flush draws.
well, his flush draws are gonna have a lot of overcards, and if they don't have an overcard, they're gonna have a straight draw. Right? Is a lot of the problem.
Yeah,
Like his flush draws are gonna have pretty strong equity here. Right? Because
I
they're
think-
gonna be
but we
two
also
overs.
get to fold a lot of the one card floats, the queen, jack, king, king, queen, king
Yep.
10, queen 10. Floats. That's
we-
really what you're trying. I would think you would be trying to fold here more than you would be
Oh.
trying to worry about. And he will fold some of his worst flush draws, but
is that
primarily
an
what you're trying
argument
to get.
for 7?
Yeah,
Potentially.
if you're
I
just
don't know.
looking to fold queen high, like this size should do it, right?
Hmm.
Like if he has king queen of spades, if he has king queen with the king of spades, this size should fold that hand now.
The ugly part about going big is like, we have decent equity, but we're gonna actually be behind a lot when called. And then we need
Uh-huh.
like. Very specific river to be able to bluff. So maybe it is just 7. Since we have 10 high. I don't know.
I could be convinced of that, but I'm thinking that we were gonna have big bets, and when we have big bets, we're gonna sometimes need to use hands like. There's gonna be, we have to have hands in our range that don't block.
I'm torn. Maybe it does some of everything. Where do you
Yeah.
lean on, Peter? What do you think?
So if we're looking to just fold a slightly better hand that didn't turn equity, I think this size does it. If we're looking to fold a flush draw, I think we have to go all in. So I actually think that there's going to be some of this, but it wouldn't surprise me if this checks as well.
I think the ones that would check would be the ones that have, the ones that I think would polarize would be, which means the checker jam would be the ones that have flush draws,
Alright.
the 10-8 of hearts, 10-8 of spades.
I'm gonna stand by my initial instinct and go for the jam. Ah,
Nailed
Interesting.
it. Good job, Jamie. 14.
Yeah, this is a spot where we're going to, I think as a rule, we're gonna have a lot of jams, but we're gonna have some hands that are going to want to. And I'm thinking it's gonna be like our slivers of like sevens, like ace seven or queen seven.
So let's take a look at our range as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay, so our range as a whole is very much jam or check, right? There's a little bit of 10% betting between these two sizes. So the hand that we had just happened to fit there. 10-8 with the double belly.
Because you
Then
see,
10-8
my thought was
Huh.
that this would be a hand you could theoretically fold, but I guess you probably wouldn't be able to fold this to like the 10-8 of clubs. I didn't thought might be a hand you could fold to a shove because you would just be kind of dead in a lot of cases to better hands, and a lot of your outs might not be live.
When we take
No, we're
this-
priced in for sure.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Yep, everything calls, and it's good.
Oh,
It's
okay.
interesting that the flush draw ones were checking a lot.
Yeah, the spades were betting, the hearts were checking.
The
They're
mega
too good
draw.
to-
Oh, well, I mean, do we have anything to do but ship here?
Yeah, go for it. Right? He should have a lot of folds, natural folds.
We should have some brick flush draws and stuff, right? That just aren't gonna call. Yeah, exactly. King, jack of love.
Yeah, and that may have called a jam, right? So
Yeah.
like,
And
We-
that may be one of the reasons why you don't want to jam
Why you
that
don't.
specific hand.
yeah,
Go back.
Because you're going to get called by, in some cases, by the flush draws
that are
that you're
actually
just,
ahead of you anyway, yeah.
that you are. And so that was part of my thinking, like, we have to have hands that, if our opponent just calls and they
Hmm.
brick, you can like
Right.
get them to auto fold the river.
It was very
So he-
cuspy though.
Yeah, it is
like he
cuspy.
mixes here.
Yeah, the hearts
It is
would have told
cuspy, and I
him.
can definitely see an argument to bet small there as a rule there. Like on that turn, I could definitely see the argument for betting smaller than bigger.
Yeah, like when we jam, sometimes he folds that king jack and doesn't even get a chance to realize equity. Right? Like he's folding king nine pure.
And that comes down to like an in-game decision on your opponent. If your opponent's just going to YOLO with any flush draw, probably don't want to make that play. But if you think your opponent's the type of player that's going to fold ace five of spades somehow, then yeah, you can go for
Okay.
it.
Sometimes we take this size probably with nines and tens, which is why it calls with king jacks and folds nines, king nine and king 10 here.
Yeah.
Because we still have
Ah,
nines
yeah.
and tens, they're doing this size on the turn.
Can we see our turn strategy one more time?
Sure.
This was a very fun one.
This was a good one. strategy
Turn.
was-
Yeah.
So it was very polar.
Oh wow, we're jamming a lot on the turn. Oh wow, I need to
Jamming
start
a
jamming
ton.
on. I need to start doing the jamming.
Yeah.
No more tricky.
King 10 off. Which king 10 off are we doing it? With like heart and spade or something?
No, it wants to check the 10 of spades.
King spade 10 hearts is getting in there though.
All the other king 10s go.
Check the 10 of spades. Okay.
Yeah, it must be important for our opponent to have.
We kind of want our
probably-
opponent to have the
like-
10 of spades.
Yeah, we want our opponent to have 10-9 of spades here, or 10-8 of spades.
We're value jamming. They'll call it off.
Yeah,
Or no, they're supposed to fold that one, right?
yeah, so it's bad when we have the 10 of spades.
Okay. I see.
Beauty. All right, well, we are going to wrap up. Thanks for stopping in and checking out this study session. We have a Discord group where
All
we
in.
get together. It is Poker Study for You. We have a Patreon page. You can find us on Discord, and you can find videos from me on YouTube containing more 3-bet defenses, as well as lots of other fun topics. 100 big blind play, 20 big blind play, 40 big blind play, range construction videos, and a little bit of pre-flop analysis from HUD now. So thanks for popping in, and we'll catch everyone next week.